So, you've watched the fight between Sean Strickland and Dricus Du Plessis, and everyone, well not everyone, people like me and a few others believe Dricus won, or Dricus as Sean Strickland calls him, 2, 3 and 4. I don't need to go over that topic, I made a breakdown on it, I'll link it at the top. But what I need to talk about is, I am seeing so many polls where Adesanya and Khamzat Chimaev are being put into the mix with Dricus Du Plessis. First of all, no. That is the completely wrong thing to do. None of them two should even be looking at a title shot. Secondly, if you want to fix this solution, put them against each other and let Dricus and Sean Strickland rematch. Isn't that a very smart solution? Well, not really, it's common sense. But the thing about Dana White is, he does give rematches, but what I've noticed is, even if a fight is competitive and it's a main event type of fight, he won't offer one. Yeah, we've seen him do it with Ankalaev and Johnny Walker, and we've seen him do it on a few prelim cards, but it's rare, I believe, for a main event for him to give a rematch. Adesanya got it against Alex Pereira because he made multiple title defences. The reason that I believe Makhachev and Volkanovski wasn't is because of the weight difference, but even then, he deserved the rematch because we had a scenario where a lot of people thought Volkanovski won, and you had a lot of people thought Makhachev won. And in this situation here, you have most people thinking that Sean Strickland won. Not me, but I'm seeing it when I'm looking at the polls and what people have to say about the fight. And then you've got Dana White saying, I don't think he's looking at an immediate rematch. And then I go on Instagram and then I see Israel Adesanya putting, here we go again. And I don't know if he's kind of trolling people because he likes to do that and stuff. But honestly, I would not be surprised if Dana White made a fight with Dricus Du Plessis and Adesanya. And yes, I said I wanted to see it more, but I'm using my brain right now. It doesn't make sense logically. And then after I'm hearing that, I'm hearing Khamzat Chimaev. Dana White hasn't said anything about him, but why are people even including Khamzat Chimaev into the mix? Yeah, he put that comment on Instagram about, see you at UFC 300. One, he ain't making UFC 300. I don't think we'll see, knowing how Khamzat Chimaev is, him fight until after Ramadan is done. And that is ages away. So the next time I see him fight is near the end of the year. And I think he might be one of these fighters who only fights once a year. And if that's the case, you do not deserve a title shot. You haven't beaten a ranked middleweight. Tell me one ranked middleweight he's beaten. And please do not bring up Kamaru Usman. Because Kamaru Usman, yes, he was the welterweight champion. He dominated Leon Edwards in the second fight. And then in the third fight, got obliterated. He just looked lost. He looked panicky. He didn't really know what to do. His knees are going. His body's fatiguing. And then you give him a fight with Khamzat Chimaev on 10 days' notice. He doesn't win the fight. I think he just loses the fight. But some people would argue that fight could have been a draw. He had a 10-8, round 2 and 3. You could give them to Usman. That is a potential argument to have. So if you're having a close fight against a guy who looks like he's on the decline. Yeah, he lost to Leon, but he looks like he's on the decline physically. And yeah, his body's giving out. And if it was a 5-round fight, we all know who was going to end up winning because his cardio went there. And you really want to go up against a guy like Dricus Du Plessis and Sean Strickland. They're not a good look for him now when I think about it on paper because you need good cardio, Khamzat Chimaev, to beat a guy like Sean Strickland. You can't hold a guy like him down. No, he's not champion, but say he was and he was to fight him, it would be extremely hard because the longer the fight goes, he is going to get tired quickly. And against Du Plessis again, you are not just going to go out there and drag him down to the ground. Dricus Du Plessis has got shocking technique, but it's effective. But it doesn't make sense in my mind for a guy like Khamzat Chimaev to fight him. I put it in the thumbnail, fight Cannonier. That is the most logical thing to do. Because if you can prove you can beat a guy like Cannonier, who's got very high cardio output, it looks like now, and he can tend to be a hard guy to finish when rocked. Because if you look at that fight with, what was his name? Marvin Vettori. He got caught early and Marvin Vettori was unloading on him, but he just couldn't put him away. And he is one of those fighters where He is quite hard to put away, but he can be hurt in a fight. And another thing he's got as well is some excellent leg kicks, and that could be a problem for Khamzat Chimaev. Chew up the legs, make it harder to get the takedowns. But that being said, it will be hard to do that because Khamzat Chimaev is one of those fighters who we don't waste any time on the feet. He's straight into the takedowns. He's big. His takedown defense has looked relatively good at middleweight. Yeah, he got taken down by Jan Blachowicz a few times, but look at the fights with Jack Hermansson, a strong wrestler, a Derek Brunson, strong wrestler, defending the takedowns. So against Khamzat Chimaev, you could argue that is probably a very hard matchup for him. But the only difference with Khamzat Chimaev is he's probably the most aggressive wrestler out of all of them. And he did out-grapple Jack Hermansson and make him look like he weren't even human. And that could pose a threat against Jared Cannonier. But if he's able to defend the takedowns early, he's in trouble. And for Israel Adesanya as well, like I've mentioned in the thumbnail, got dog-walked against Strickland. He'd probably like that, literally. He probably would, knowing what he does. And for him to then get a fight with Dricus Du Plessis can only happen if Sean Strickland says, no, I don't want to fight him, and is injured. You cannot consider him before Sean Strickland. I'm sorry, if he does that, he's made a huge mistake. Because, yes, personally, I think it would be more entertaining, but a lot of people wouldn't, and it doesn't make sense. You can't just have a fighter who everyone thought want to fight, then go and not give him a rematch. I know this isn't boxing and we don't want every fight to have a rematch, but in this scenario, it's one where it makes sense. Like I mentioned earlier about Islam Makhachev and Volkanovski, he didn't get an immediate rematch. The only reason he got a rematch is because someone got injured. He wanted a rematch after, but Dana White weren't going to give it. And Islam Makhachev sits out for a long time as well. So it's like, them two fighters there, forget about it. Don't even talk about them in terms of title shot. I've given you the solution, what you can do with them two fighters. That is the thing that you do with them. Nothing else. And just look at Jared Cannonier. He is 39 years of age. Khamzat Chimaev should be very confident. Even though looking what he did to Marvin Vettori, he might be a bit nervous, but deep down, Marvin Vettori has fell off. I don't know what's happened to him not using wrestling. It's like all he does now is try and kickbox and use Muay Thai, and it just doesn't work. He can start off quite fast, but then he can fade very quickly, and that has happened. And he can get hit more, and it seems like he gets rocked in fights, but he never gets finished. He's got a granite chin. And I think Jared Cannonier has the power to KO a guy like Khamzat Chimaev if they have a 5-round fight. And remember, Khamzat Chimaev has not had a 5-round fight. Like, get that sorted before you're worrying about Dricus Du Plessis. Because all Khamzat Chimaev does sits out there, I kill everyone, I can't do that accent, but he just sits there saying that and fight somebody. Please be more active. His goal for me, I know he would never hear this, but my goal is for him to have 2 fights this year. If he can have 2 fights this year, he's sorted. But then, because of Ramadan, he needs to fight at UFC 300. I hope I've not bottled that, but yeah, I think if he can fight then, he's good. Fight Jared Cannonier. If I wake up and I see some like BS where Dricus Du Plessis and Khamzat Chimaev are now fighting, I just think, really? If you're going to make one, I'd rather see Adesanya Du Plessis than Khamzat Chimaev Du Plessis. And honestly, neither of them deserve it. Because you could argue that, of all people, Jared Cannonier deserves a title shot over Khamzat Chimaev 100%. Neither of them should get one yet, but he beat Sean Strickland. It was controversial, but according to his record, both of them have had controversial decisions. So as much as I don't think that should happen, he's got way more of a right than Khamzat Chimaev. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Talk to you soon.